Hello, I'm Carla and this is Jess, and thank you for practicing with us today. Today's class, we're working a little bit into Bakasana and a few poses that will assist you in Bakasana. And if you do have any injuries, if you are new to the practice, please just work with caution, listen to your body, and anything that doesn't feel comfortable or feels that it's aggravating you, especially if you have any injuries or weaknesses, please just take care not to overstrain. If you are coming to a cross-legged position, we're going to begin with the 3 arms just to kind of find some quietness and bring our attention to the mat. So Jess and I are sitting on blankets, sitting on a little bit of height helps to elevate the buttock bones. With the buttock bones lifted, you're able to quieten the thighs, settle the groins, lift the sides of the body, extend the spine. So you want to lift up through the crown of the head, lift the chest, and bring the hands together in the prayer position. When you let the eyes close, don't drop the spine and the chest. With the eyes closed, keep the skin of the face soft, shoulders away from the ears. Coming to the breath, using the inhalations to extend the spine, to open up the chest. Exhalations are there to help you to find quietness and softness in areas where you might be holding tension. But also use the exhalation as an action. So with each exhalation, you're emptying the abdomen, using the abdomen to support the length in the lumbar spine. Each exhalation, you're also bringing the shoulder blades into the body, using that shoulder blade support to keep the chest well opened. On an exhalation, drop your chin down, keep the chest lifted. On the next breath out, release your hands into your lap, lift your head up and open your eyes. We're coming to our first pose, which is Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Virasana, you can sit with your toes together, your knees are apart. And if you're unable, you can do it just here. If you're unable to get the buttocks to touch the heels, you will need a little bit of support of a blanket underneath the buttocks. And at first, you're just extending forward, hands shoulder distance apart, extending forward, getting a nice extension in the sides of the waist. In this Adho Mukha Virasana position, if you raise your hands up on blocks, so raising the hands up on blocks here, we're going to see if we're able to get a little bit more openness in the armpit region. If your head is floating, once your hands are on the bricks and you're unable to bring the head down, you can use a blanket, folded blanket, just to rest the forehead so that the neck is nice and relaxed. This is a nice position just to stretch the sides of the body. You're quietening yourself, focusing on the breath. And as I mentioned, you're getting this lovely openness in the sides of the body and the armpit region. With the hands on bricks, we can also come a little bit closer to the wall here. And when you come to the wall, you're actually going to take your wrist up the wall. So now we're working into Adho Mukha Virasana still, but your wrists, your forearms are going to be on the bricks, and you're taking your wrist up to the on top of the brick, and your fingers up the wall. So here you're stretching the wrist, lock the elbows if you can, push the wall away from you. You're not going to hold this position for very long. Again, if you needed the support of the blanket for your head, you would take it, especially if you were planning on holding it a little bit longer. And once we've had a little bit of a warm up there, we'll come up. You can roll your wrists around if it feels that you need to release them. We're coming to lie on your back and have a strap nearby. for Supta Parangustasana. So we're doing Supta Parangustasana 1, and Supta Parangustasana 1 is purely just to get a little bit of flexibility in the legs, movement in the hips. So when we're doing poses like Bakasana and we're doing Malasana a little bit later into the class, when you're doing those poses, you do need quite a little bit of flexibility in the hips. So here, you're straightening up the knee, you're opening up the back of the hamstring, and because the leg is straight and you're using that extension of the back leg to bring the leg closer towards you. You can be there for a few breaths, stretching the leg away from you. Once you've stretched the heel away from you and you've got this lovely extension in the back of the leg, stretch the big toe mount up to the ceiling also and get a nice firmness and extension in the front of the leg too. Keep making sure. So Jess is doing a good job at keeping this left leg in Tadasana. Often what happens is the left foot just flops out to the side and nothing is alert there. So you bring a Tadasana awareness to the left leg and you keep pressing that left inner thigh down, splitting the legs apart, mobilizing the hips. From here, release the right leg down and we're going to take the left leg up. So the right leg stays alert. It's an active Tadasana leg. The left leg also, the knee is firm. When you're stretching the back of the leg, turn the toes towards you. Feel that full extension of the back of the leg when you're stretching the back of the hamstring, opening the back of the knee, stretching the back of the calf. So you really lift the heel and get this extension in the Achilles. And then from here, maintaining this extension of the back of the leg, you lift into the big toe mount. Feel that strength and extension that comes to the front leg too. Keep both knees firm, both legs working, but can you keep the shoulders, the neck, the throat relaxed? If you tend to push into the back of your head in these poses, if you find that your head tips back in these poses, or if you have any neck injuries and you want to use a blanket to support the head, then by all means, you take a blanket under the head and the neck to make sure that the shoulders are relaxed in this pose. Releasing the leg down, rolling onto your side, we're coming up. So staying on all fours in Chaturangasana. There's a few things you can do in Chaturangasana that help to warm up for some of the poses that we're doing today. In Bakasana, your weight bearing on the hands. So you do want to have a little bit of warmth and mobility in the wrists. So we've already extended the hand along the wall. Now, can you just push your weight forward over to the fingertips, pressing the palm in? When you need to release, you push away, move the buttocks back over the knees and rest. Okay, you can also take the palms out to the side. So turn the hands, turn the arms, rolling from side to side. These can also be done against the wall, but against the wall, you really can only do one hand at a time. So this makes it a little bit easier. Now turn the fingers to face you. No, you're on all fours. Okay. Yeah, you staying. I'm just showing on the wall. We get the middle fingers to face you as much as you can. And then to really extend the wrists, but just be careful that you don't hurt yourself. Start to sit back. Release, coming back. Bring the hands back to face forwards. You can go around in circles. That's also a nice way of warming up the wrists. Just whatever you need to do to get the wrists warm. To release, you're going to sit back on your feet and sit up and just roll your wrists around. So just a nice gentle rolling around just to loosen it again. You don't have to flick the wrists or anything. From Chaturangasana again, so back onto all fours. You're going to exhale, draw the belly button up and tuck the chin in to round the spine. As you inhale, you're going to lift your chest, bring it as if you're coming through the arms and you curving into the lower back, into the upper back. Exhale, empty the abdomen, roll out the spine. And when you're inhaling, you're extending the breastbone forward, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the chest, and there's a natural curvature that happens. One more exhalation, emptying out the abdomen, just warming up the spine here. And last one, inhaling and coming through. We're coming back to sitting in Virasana, and this time you're going to take your elbows on the bricks. So this isn't the most comfortable position for most people. You can also use a low stool or a chair. You want to cut the outer elbows in. It means that the triceps have to coil into the face so that you're not splaying the elbows. The fingertips are up to the ceiling. You can bring the thumb towards your spine if that's a little bit easier for you, but to work a little bit more intensely, and this is also more the Pincha Mayurasana shape. Here, as you exhale, you settle the shoulder blades into the body, feel that openness in the armpit. You can make this pose a little bit more challenging for you if you take a third brick and bring the third brick in between the two hands here, and then the forearms separate, and that just, works a little bit harder into the shoulder joints. From here, just move your arms off, lift yourself up, move your arms off the bricks, and we're coming to standing. So standing in Tadasana, feet are together. A lot of work in the wrists and the shoulders and the arms. So just from the very top of the shoulder, release into the arm. You can move the arms slightly back so that you're opening up the chest. When you sit in Utkatasana, you want to sit back, but you want to keep this even length on the front and back body. So inhale, lift the arms in Utkatasana. Find this openness in the armpit that you had a moment ago. Find that lift of the chest that you had in on all fours, and then exhale and sit. Beautiful. Keep the chest lifted. If you keep the gaze lifted, if you keep the arms extending up, you have a better chance of getting the correct shape of the pose. As you exhale, release the buttocks down. As you exhale, you press into the feet and you lift the shins, and then lift and straighten yourself up. Release arms at your sides. I'm going to turn to show a side view. If you struggle with knock knees, or if this is uncomfortable for you, you can take a blanket or something in between the knees that you've got a grip onto. Now, lifting the arms, opening the armpits, keep the gaze lifted, keep the chest lifted. The abdomen has to draw back as you sit so that the buttocks descend. The shins have to lift, and you sit the buttocks down. You keep that Virasana stretch. And when you feel like you've had enough and you need to come up, you come up. You don't hold the breath, you hold the pose. Relax and rest. Now we're going to come from Utkatasana into a squat. We're working into the Malasana squat a little bit later, but let's just see how we go into a squat from Utkatasana. So Utkatasana, arms are up. Inhale, and as you exhale, descend the groin, start to open the knees, and come down into a full squat. You can let your body settle in between the knees. You're trying to, when you come into your squat, you're trying to keep the heels down, then pushing into those heels. Can you lift to Utkatasana? Press into the feet and lift the shins, and then lift up and release the hands. Take a moment here in Tadasana. You want to feel quietness and softness in the shoulders. You want to relax a little bit, find your breath. Marichyasana is a seated pose. It's a wonderful pose to prepare you for Bakasana. So we're sitting on a little bit of height. Marichyasana is easier done on height. The legs are extended out. And you want to make sure that the back is lifted, the spine is upright. And if you're unable to get this upright spine, this lift of the sacrum here, then you absolutely do need to take more blankets, especially if you're very tight. Marichyasana, we're bending up the right knee first. In the classic Marichyasana, you're going to reach both hands towards your feet. So at first you want to bring yourself to the inside of this right knee and then extend towards your foot. If you're unable to reach your foot, if you don't have the flexibility to reach your foot, you use a strap. From here, as you hold on to the foot, you want to, again, like you pull the chest through when you're in Chaturangasana, you want to bring the spine into the body and you want to lift the chest through, extend the front of the body. You may have let this knee go out to the side a little bit when you go into the forward bend. Now you want to bring the knee in to connect to the side of the body, because in classic Marichyasana, you wrap the arms around the knee, around the back, and you try to clasp the arms, the fingers behind the back. So this is Marichyasana. Then you exhale and you release and you come into the forward fold. If this is a challenge for you, stay in the halfway position where you've got your strap. Coming up, bring your hands onto the floor. And with the hands on the floor here, you have the capacity to press against that knee. So use this pressure against the knee, use this arm back to extend yourself forward some more. That contact between the knee and the upper arm is what helps you to start learning Bakasana. So as much as the bind is the classic position, this is a really good way to get that thinking of Bakasana into your head. Now extend that leg out and coming to sit in Dandasana again. Can we show from this side now? We're going to bend up the left knee now. So from Dandasana, when you bend up the left knee, when you're coming into the forward bend, this left knee kind of has to move out to the side so that the left side of the body can come through. When you're in this position, the knee then has to hug in, and it means that you have to press the inner line of that left foot down. If you're going to go to the full position, fine. If you're a beginner, stay here. If you've got your strap, especially stay here. Work on that extending of the front body to get you down. If you're able to do the bind though, you get yourself under that shin, under that knee, into that shin, and you come to the bind. To complete Marichyasana 3, you close off the right side of the chest and you close down into a forward extension. When you've been there for a few breaths, if it feels constricted for you and you need to release, release. Once you've been there for a few breaths, bring the hands at the sides again, almost like you're doing a wide push-up, and see with this knee and contact, can you move the arm a little bit lower in front of the shin? Yes. So with this knee and thigh contact, you're trying to bring the breastbone through, tame the chin down, of the neck long, bring the breastbone through. Feel that contact between the upper arm and that shin. That's what's going to help you in your Bakasana. Release and extend the leg in Dandasana. And we're coming to stand back in Tadasana. So we're coming to the Malasana squat here. In the Malasana squat, we will start with the feet wide. Feet wide is just easier for most people. And in fact, going with duck-footed is also preferable for some people. But then you'll work your way into coming to Malasana with the feet together. So just to warm up, feet are wide, duck foot if necessary. You're going to exhale and you're going to squat low, coming into the squat. If your heels come up, and this is impossible for you, you're going to work with the heels on a raised height to see if you can get into that Malasana squat. If you're completely stuck here, then use a piece of furniture or use the wall for support. Already in Malasana, feel how you need to get the sides of the body into the thighs. You can have your hands on the floor or the hands in this prayer position. Start to feel that contact between the upper arm and the shin. Now you can use your hands on the floor to bring you up again, come back to standing. So if that was super easy for you, we're going to do a second one. Now feet parallel to each other, feet hip distance apart, and from there go. As you go, you might want to widen the knees a little bit to get the body through. See what the feet are doing. Are the heels coming together? Are the heels lifting? You're working at getting that foot action. In the classic Malasana squat, you want to bind both arms around the front shin, around the knee, and hold behind the back, which I haven't seen many people able to do, but holding onto your ankles also helps. So holding onto the ankles, that also helps you to pull through. And once again, bring the hands in front of you. Use the hands to help lift you up. If this was difficult for you, this is the one you're going to repeat. If you're able to now take the feet together, let's get feet together and see how the Malasana squat goes from here. So the closer the feet come together, the more you have to really work at getting the body through. If you want to try wrapping around, holding onto the ankles, you can. If you want to hold around the back, take your arms as if you're going to hold the fingers behind the back. And then if somebody gives you a strap, you can try and figure out if it would ever get there. But there's something about the bind that does help the Malasana squat. And then the head would come to the floor. And now, once you've been there for a few breaths, pay attention to your knees, to your hips, your back. Bring your hands back like in front of you. Push yourself up. Come to Tadasana. So Bakasana is, for some people, you feel like it's never going to happen for you. But there are ways you can practice it. And we're going to work into it in stages today. So in Bakasana, you're going to have a bolster. And don't have the bolster like this, hoping that if you face plant, you manage to get onto the bolster, because you can land there. Take the bolster lengthways so that where you land, you're protected. Coming into your Malasana squat, find that bind between the upper arm and the shin bone. So the knee has to climb up towards the armpit. For beginners, absolutely, you will be balancing on the elbow. So if you could show with the elbow. And you're going to bend the arms, you're going to lift your chest forward for the feet to come up. And then when you hold it for a few seconds, you come down and you release. So the idea is to get higher onto the armpit, as I said. If that was challenging enough for you, and even that lift off onto the elbow was impossible, then what you do is the following. Come up. Take a brick. You're standing on the brick. And then go into Malasana again. So now, because you've got height, it helps you to get the arms higher. You want to try and keep the bum low and shoot the chest forward, and then the feet lift. You can lift feet one at a time, two, whichever. I'm going to remove the brick just to make it safer for you to come down. So those are two little tricks that you can use. And think about the arm being a platform. So as you place your hands, as you bend the elbow first, just bend, you're going to keep this as a shelf for the knee to sit on. And when you come forward, if you lift your bum and drop your head, you are going to fall down. The idea is that you lift the chest and keep the bum down as much as you can and glide the chest forward. And you just have to keep practicing. And one day you'll get it for a second, and then you'll build on that. And the more you work into the poses we've been doing today, working on your strength, your flexibility, your mobility, eventually Bakasana will come for you. This Bakasana is done normally from a head balance position, but this is how beginners would work at getting into Bakasana. If you'd like to practice more, you're going to pause the video here and practice a little bit longer. And we're going to finish off the rest of the class with a few restoratives. So once you're done, you're going to kneel in front of your mat, toes together, knees are apart. You're taking the bolster slightly between your knees, and you're just crossing. So bring it a little bit closer to you, and you're crossing your forearms, crossing your hands, resting the back of the head, resting the elbows, resting the shoulders. Sometimes when we do these poses, you end up doing them with a grit and you tense up your shoulders, you tense your mouth, especially if that was you. Relax here in this position, completely let go of that top shoulder region. Placing your hands next to you on the mat, just push yourself up. There's a pose called cross bolsters, which is a nice sort of abdominal opening. So a lot of these poses, Marichyasana and the Malasana squats, sort of scrunched you up. You can either take 2 bolsters for cross bolsters, or I'm using 2 firm shoulder balance foams. They're just A4 foams. And you place them in the middle of your mat with your bolster on top. You're going to come to sit in front of the bolster like a seesaw. If you don't have the foams, you can use folded blankets. Then slide your shoulders to the floor. As you slide down, the flesh of the back body will have been pinned in position by the bolster, and then extend your legs. Now, when you extend your legs, if it catches your back in any way, come out of it immediately. Often people will go into it and not quite get the shoulders on the floor, so make sure the shoulders are on the floor. Back of the neck is long, like shoulder balance position, where the shoulders and the neck are on are your base. Open up across the abdomen. There's a lovely freedom that comes to the abdomen, a lovely openness to the groins. If you find this position uncomfortable, if it catches your back in any way, then you either bend your knees or you go into the position where you set up already some support, that when you extend your legs, then your feet are on a little bit of height, yeah? So it softens the back bend, but you still get that openness of the front body, that release in the abdomen, that release in the front groins. Cross bolsters is also one of the poses that's used as a alternative to doing shoulder balance. So you're getting a little bit of that Jalandhara Bandha shape where the chin and the chest are coming together. You've rolled onto the top shoulder like you would in shoulder balance. So if you don't yet do inversions, cross bolsters is often done instead of Salamba Sarvangasana shoulder balance. When you've been here for a few breaths, when you've relaxed a little bit, you're going to bend your knees, roll off the bolster so that you rest on your right hip and right shoulder, and then push yourself up. When you come to Savasana, a little blanket for underneath the head and the neck is really nice. Just make sure there's no weird folds in it. And if you feel any tightness in the back, if you'd like to relax the legs a little bit more, you can place a bolster underneath the knees. The bolster will go at the center back knee. But if you don't need a bolster, then simply lying flat works. Start with bent knees regardless, so that you're able to adjust the back body. So as the back slid off that bolster and all the flesh of the back body kind of released down, that's what you want in Savasana. So make sure that the skin at the top back is down, in the flesh of the buttocks has released. So bending the knees gives you that, and then extend the legs. You make sure that you're aligned right in the center. The left and right arms are evenly placed. The left and right leg are evenly placed from the midline. Relax here. As you exhale, completely let go any tension in the body. As you exhale, completely let go any hardness in the mouth, the jaw, the cheeks. The skin of the body is completely released. In Savasana, we learn pratyahara, and pratyahara is quietening the senses. So in holding the body still in this position, in keeping the body still, keeping the body passive, we relax the skin, we close the eyes, we close off the ears, we draw our focus inward. Each exhalation in Savasana settles you into this quietness a little bit more. If you get distracted by any sounds, any sensations, any thoughts, exhale, come back to the breath, let go of any tension, and just come back to your Savasana. Soft inhalations, soft exhalations. Each exhalation, you're just sinking into this quiet Savasana. You can stay in Savasana for as long as you want or need. Start to let the inhalation become a little bit more profound. So the way that the exhalation took you into this quiet Savasana still state, let the inhalation bring you back to the surface of consciousness. On the next breath in, stretch your arms over your head, give your body a long deep stretch. You can yawn or sigh the breath out. And then bending the knees, roll onto your right hand side. Stay in that fetal position for a few moments. When it feels like the eyes are ready to open, you're going to use your left hand to press into the floor. Come up slowly. You bring the head up last. Work your way into any comfortable seated position. Once you're seated, bring the hands together in the prayer position. Lift up the spine, open up the chest. Each inhalation that you take in with a sense of gratitude. And with a small smile on the face, take a moment here to give thanks for the health and strength of your body. The next breath in. Let the eyes gently flutter open and focus. Namaste. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jess. See you next time.